The assault against African centeredness is increasing in size and magnitude. There's a lot of fear in our community, a lot of need to be validated and loved by enemies in our community. There's a lot of need to run from who you are because it is something that you despise. Self-hatred and menticide are deep, and it seems like they're growing deeper. But what I see in front of me tells me that it's not victorious. If there's one person sitting here, then that means that we haven't lost. We have a lot of work to do, and we need to focus our attention on our children because they're the ones who are the primary targets right now on this issue and every other issue of insanity. It turns us into somebody who we are not. We have to produce warriors.
Initiated, student of the EWA, so baptized by the warrior teachers. I'm training, learning how to shoot the gauge while you burning sage, playing video games. This message here is for the RBG brigade. Shed blood, bring peace, that's the warrior's way. Libation is the blood, sweat, and tears. Ibaye, Ashe, I'm bringing death to the quiz. I wanna live, so I die for the kids. Back smack gangsters coming home from bids. Free your dome, you only hard to kill your own. A straight race traitor, the white man's clone. Burrito man, I'ma continue to plan. Choke the life out of a cracker with my bare hands. That's my word, my deed and my thought. From sun up to sundown, true warriors fought.
This needs to be emulated everywhere we are at. Those people who are calling themselves warriors, well, the root word of warrior is war. And either you're playing games and trying to be a fake thug, or you really are about the business of protecting your community because you realize that we are at war. And you act like we are at war, not like we are at peace.
Firm handshake, look a brother in the eye so I can tell if he fake. I can see through the disguise if he got a forked tongue, speaking disrespectful lies. Asata Baba Baruti, respect him cause he wise. Dropping wisdom on the pages, so stand up and be courageous. Our enemies engaging with grenades and shotty gauges, with machetes, with the razors, with the stick or with the stone, or bare knuckles to their faces. Got a hatred for the races, other times are for the traitors. Won't forget about the lynchings, how they fed us to the gators. Real gangsters protect their neighbors, won't betray us for some paper. Our secrets keep it sacred, our legacy's the greatest. They the greatest, cause they haters, they some haters. I drop it like an anchor with the hopes that it'll change us. The artificial flavors, you wanna be a player while they hanging, so which team you playing for, the underdog or for the face?
Warriors are supposed to be about the business of defending those people in their community. They're supposed to be about the business of making people comfortable, giving them a safe space. People say warriors are healers, and they are. Sometimes healing is that tough love thing where you gotta handle people in a particular way. But our job is to make it so that our people have all obstacles removed from their way in being African.
touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean every day they so. Hey, don't touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean. And I say I shit. I gotta say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. Elegba, Osho, Empo, Batala. And I say I shit. Mokio. I shit. And I say I shit. And Oya, and Shango, and Gimoja. I got it. Currency in my pocket. Nature around my neck. Front and center, I rock it. Never tuck them, so folk wanna touch them. They need to stop it. Trying to find them on lines like mine. You never cop it. My eleke is living. Reason why I be winning. Jealous of my position, but I'm just at the beginning. Demonizing the forces, no intercourses I'm giving. Christians feel like I'm sinning the way the heavens be bending for me. I'm in the flow. I get the dough. I'm giving more. It's reciprocal. Every dose could be poison or be medicinal. Truth is blatant to those who know what to listen for. Yeah, a treasure chest in every mic check. Steady in the altitude and we ain't on the flight jet. Calling me the champion, I ain't even won the fight yet. Moochers sticking to us for that juju that they might get. Hey, don't touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean every day they so. Hey, don't touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean. And I say I shit. Somebody say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. Hey, go, Babaluaye, and Eva. And I say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. For Josie, Ogun, and Orumia.
I got them holy beads around my neck. Them sacred guides on deck. Yep, thickest protection all around. Kosi Wahala, big blessings abound. I'm open to receive all the things this universe is laid at my feet, and I'm walking yellow brick road and laid with gold. Oh yeah, I get it from my mama. She reigning on her throne. La de koju, Oriye Oshun. Hell, sea water goddess, keep that blade and some honey. Lord, she just keep going, hard to stop when she gets started. A river flowing, anointed from head to toe. Baptized, got Orisha by my side, and my eagle all around. Ain't nothing stopping me now. Full force on them, full glow on them. Spirit realm said go, so I move for them. A walking altar.
And I say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. And I say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. And I say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. And I say I shit. I shit. And I say I shit. Hey, don't touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean every day they so. Hey, don't touch my eleke. You may think they pretty, but to me it's not for play. Power in my jewelry, clear the scene like an AK. Full body protection, looking clean.
Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Black Survivor Series, broadcasting live every Warrior Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by the National Minister of Defense and the Black Riders Liberation Party under the auspices of 5-star General Taco Wolverine Shakur and the National Deputy Field Marshal of the New Black Panther Party for Self-Defense under the leadership and auspices of our National Chairwoman, General Crystal Muhammad, speaker none other than our warrior educator, the Black Dragon himself, Minister King Samir Shabazz. We are here and we are live due to some changes in the schedule. Minister King Samir Shabazz will not be here with us tonight, but I've been charged to bring forth a message of empowerment, a warrior message on this Warrior Wednesday to our brothers and sisters, those of us who are not dismayed by the improper propaganda campaigns that seem to run rampant in the minds of African people. So today is November the 4th, and on this day of November the 4th, in our culture, it equates to culture freedom. So you're supposed to be able to free yourself through the tools that are garnered from your culture. So on a day like today, when our enemies are at work imbuing their culture around the world, which is murder, death, and kill, we must be mindful of our culture. And what is our culture? Our culture exists for the liberation and salvation and sovereignty of African people and the decimation and destruction of our enemy. So what tools are we taking from this cultural representation that will make us free? That will create the space of freedom, that will create the space of liberation, that will create the space of African sovereignty and the decimation and destruction of our enemies. Where are we in regards to the adherence to our culture? There are those that will work overtime and undertime and all of the time to paint a picture of African people being very docile, being very submissive, being, those ones that we see masquerading around with the plastic smiles. Those who will not engage in any physical confrontation, mental confrontation, emotional, psychological, or spiritual confrontation with enemies whatsoever. And it jives well with the psychology of the African here in America, because we forgot that we come from an ancestral lineage that shed warfare and destroyed this country at every juncture. So if you're not looking for in your close proximity, in your nuclear family, you damn sure won't hear it from your extended family. You'll see exactly what you've seen. So brothers and sisters that are looking around, especially coming up in this accursed place in the houses and smells of North America, those who are bought and sold here, that's who we have a connection to, our ancestors that were bought here. Those other people, whomever they belong to, they're connected to their ancestral lineage and what happened to them, the atrocities that befall them by the hands of these wicked-ass beasts who came over here. So I'm speaking to African people. I'm not talking to everybody. So in this day and time where these things are happening, these things are made manifest, where did they come from? We got much to say about the Holy Writings, but the Holy Writings revealed them. The Holy Writings revealed them. We got much to say in these places and spaces about these Holy Writings, but these Holy Writings revealed them. And why did they reveal them? Why was Scripture saying nothing new under the sun? Because they understood, our ancestors understood, and now we misunderstand the cycle of time. Things come back around. So they wrote about their end times in hopes that we will be mindful enough to take heed to the lessons and the mistakes that they made before us. So when we come to the end time and the destruction of this beast, we don't try to stay this bastard's execution. But from what I'm seeing on this political landscape, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, affectionately known to the world as H. Rap Brown, said the only politics relevant to black people in this country is the politics of revolution. Has it changed? Dr. Martin Luther King Said, I fear that I'm integrating my people into a burning house. Has that fucking changed? Haj Malik Shabazz, Brother Omwali, Minister Malcolm X said, only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. Has that changed? So when our ancestors, those who sojourned this way before us, came in contact with this beast, they gave us a warning not to mix with them, not to confide in them, not to trust them. But here we are out here with stickers proudly chanting for our destruction. Families being separated. Nothing but the devil can separate a family. Families being separated. We at war with one another, cutting off family members for some goddamn cracker, some nasty cave beast devil that we supposed to be against. Revolutionaries forgot the only politics that are relevant to black people in this country is the politics of revolution. So we see the masqueraders running around here frolicking about the devastation and destruction of African people. Do you see how in a few months everything can change? March was all out war in the streets. This place was on fire. This place is on fire. A pandemic and a stimulus check later, we're back in line. And the war gets turned back. The trajectory of the war effort that was garnered up by the youth in the streets have been gobbled up by these knee-slapping, treacherous, treasonous ass Negroes at the behest or the check of our enemies. So that's all it took. So now you got minute-to-minute updates hoping for a new slave master. Hoping and praying. People commending their cities for turning out and voting for a new slave master. What were our ancestors brought here for? Since we're talking about ancestors, since we're talking about ancestor sacrifice and ancestral death, the millions and millions of African ancestors that were brought here and sold here and died here, what did they die for? My ancestors died fighting. So speak for yourself when you talk about your ancestors. Say what your ancestors died for. Most of you don't even know. Most of them don't even know your ancestors. And you give your saliva for somebody to tell you who your ancestors are and where you come from. So this dependency, this interdependency on enemy for food, clothing, shelter, recollection, reconciliation, all existing and seeding in the mind of a beast who does his bidding in our mind and allows it to play out. Brother against brother, sister against sister, faction against faction, group against group. And no one is ascending. Everyone is deteriorating. People holding their hands over their fucking heart, walking around here proud. Their ancestors enslaved our ancestors. Their ancestors took able-bodied brothers and sisters, kidnapped them, raped them, and murdered them. And you're voting for them. You're voting for them. You are pledging your allegiance to the enemies of your ancestors. Openly. And warring against your brother and sister in defense of a beast who don't need your fucking help. This is the space and place that we're operating in. So what part of this cultural mandate where our freedom is supposed to come from? The tools that are responsible to free us. What aspects of the culture are we adhering to? Is it written on the walls? Can you go to the walls and see our ancestors fighting? Yes. Are they written in the books? Can you go in the ancient writings of our civilizations and find them fighting our enemies? Yes. Can you go back in the annals of history of 400 years of occupation in this country and find our ancestors fighting? Yes. There was no vote on the situation. When you have control of your politics, then you can decide who's in power. As long as you are groveling, as long as you are begging, as long as you are conceding, as long as you're integrating, as long as you are assimilating, it is proof that you are not in power. And there's nothing empowering about being in slavery, being in bond service, being in oppression, raising your children up in bondage. They're giving birth to children, your grandchildren coming up in bondage. What the fuck is empowering about that? The only politics that are relevant to black people in this country is the politics of revolution. And if you ain't got the heart to step to your enemy, if you ain't got the heart to take your enemy's life, take your own life. Don't even support the war effort. Take your own life. Take your own life. You are pointless. You are meaningless to the resurrection and rise of African people. If you don't consider yourself African, if you don't consider yourself black, go where you are, where you belong. Don't come amongst my people talking that shit. That's your final warning. If it applies to you, I'm talking to you. And that's the last time I'm going to talk to you about that. Who the fuck need further confusion on the battlefield? What confuse people? A rallying cry for the death of our enemies. And then we start identifying what the fuck our enemies. Our enemies decide what the fuck we call ourselves. And who we are and who we fighting for. And who the fuck is worthy of death for the responsibility for our condition. You want cowards and rats and police and provocateurs and agents to be running around here deciding our fate on one side, and then this devil-ass beast on the other side. And you pulling a lever, or you writing in the candidate. And the only candidate that is here is our candidacy for further destruction, further decimation, and further exploitation. Waging warfare. Waging warfare. You hoping in your heart. And that's some damn near 80-year-old bastard who stayed in the White House 40-something years, locking up your father and your uncles, and somehow had to change your heart, and he's looking to you. He paraded around his pet for 8 years in front of your face. And somehow, after this bastard devil went in front of the world and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, and y'all voted for his retarded ass. I voted for that goddamn dog. Please be our master. It's like some people going out and getting the dog and bringing the dog home and say, what we supposed to do now, dog? We will let a dog be in charge over you. Afraid to kill this goddamn dog. You loving on the dog. You running around on the internet, fighting with your family members, posting pictures. You made your voice count. You hear a name like Nat Turner, he made his voice count. He made his voice count. He elected to destroy his enemy. He elected to destroy his oppressor. He elected to eliminate those who stood in the way of his liberation of his people. He wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about us. We're not even thinking about him. We're not even remembering him. We're not even honoring him. We're not even walking in his footsteps. In order for there to be black power, there must be white death. There must be Asian death. There must be Arab death. None of that should include voting. Unless you're electing to select the switch on your rifle. That's where you can vote at. You can load your magazine and elect to aim at your target and eliminate it. Imagine the change that comes into this place overnight. We voted here. We got elected officials in office. We got black police. You got black governors. You got black mayors. You got black senators. That's not it. You got black judges. You got black lawyers. That's not it. Confrontation, up close and personal with your enemy. In the interest of your people is the only solution. So the purpose of preparation is for confrontation, so that you are prepared mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually for victory. Isn't it time to be a victor? Aren't you tired of being a victim? Aren't you tired of being victimized, exploited, and exterminated? Aren't you tired of crying and wailing at the death of your loved ones? Aren't you tired of going to visit your loved ones in the penal institution? Aren't you tired? Fannie Lou Hammond said she was sick and tired of being sick and tired. In the words of my brother Doc Mockney from United Front, man, are you mad enough? Prove it. Prove it. That's the polls I want to see you standing in line at, to cast your ballot in the liberation and salvation of our nation. The liberation and salvation of your family, of your children, of your grandchildren, of your great-grandchildren. The redemption of your people. The resurrection of your people. The reformation of your people. Ain't that worth training for? Ain't that worth preparing for? Isn't that worth the proper orientation of the mind and body of your children? Liberation and sovereignty is not worth it. That's what the Warriors is here for. If there was nothing going on, there would be no need for warriors. The state in condition that we're in produces warriors, produces righteous rage, produces the longing for the destruction of our enemy on every level. This is why we gather here every Warrior Wednesday, no matter what the hell is going on. This is a moment of reminder, a moment of reflection for the warriors who stand opposed, who wage war for the minds and hearts of African people, who want to orientate their minds back towards what's important. The only votes that count in this election that we're running, this military campaign that we're running, is our freedom. On whatever level of contribution that you can to the goal. Nothing else matters. Your great-grandchildren not going to give a fuck who you voted for if they ain't free. Choose you. Be selfish. Choose yourself. Vote for yourself. Vote for your future. If you ain't got enough strength, go listen to your children play. And listen to the sirens and the helicopters and the gunshots where you live. If you need a reminder. Look in your children in the eyes and say, they worth being saved. That's real salvation. Being delivered from a state in existence of oppression. That's Christ-like for the Christians. That's feasibility for the Muslims. That's Hashay for the Africans. That's Black Power for Black people. Blood debts must be answered in blood, given to us by our warrior ancestor, Dr. Bobby E. Wright. Peace be upon him. Answer the call. Answer the call. Black Power.